The Commission is putting forward today a package of measures with a very clear goal to give a boost to EU's competitiveness. From factories to startups, the digital package is the EU's answer to calls to reduce burdens on our businesses. We are doing so through 3 areas of action here. Firstly, I'm presenting the Data Union strategy to fuel the digital economy with its essential resource, high-quality data for development on AI. And secondly, we are also proposing European business wallets, which offer a digital solution for businesses to interact effortlessly with authorities and also other businesses across the European Union. And finally, we have here our first Digital Omnibus. It simplifies digital rules in the areas of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and data. Commissioner Dombrovskis will shortly continue by telling you more about the joint simplification agenda of this Commission, and Commissioner McGrath will elaborate the GDPR perspective of our proposal. We are putting forward these measures because Europe needs to act now and to remain faithful for its core values. We have identified these measures as the most urgent now, following our discussions with the European businesses, including SMEs, civil society and beyond. But we are also clear that simplification does not mean softening our safeguards. We stand firmly behind our high standards for privacy, fairness and security. Because EU regulation is a trust mark for businesses. We are the one place on the planet that has framed the rules of the game in this way, to protect our values and fundamental rights. However, regulation alone is not enough, as we know. We must also move from rule-making to innovation building. Our rules should not be a burden, but an added value. For this, we need immediate steps to get rid of regulatory clutter, where there is any, and focus instead of clear and predictable rules and also solid enforcement. And that is what we are doing today with our digital package. First, we are cutting all unnecessary administrative costs for compliance by at least €5 billion by 2029 through the Digital Omnibus and saving companies at least €150 billion per year with our European business wallets. Second, we are also stimulating innovation here. With the Data Union strategy, we are proposing measures for fundamentally scaling up the availability of high-quality data for AI development in the EU and strengthening also the EU's approach to international data flows. About the Data Union strategy, today's measures are unlocking the data for AI across Europe. The Data Union strategy builds on the AI Continent Action Plan and also to our Apply AI strategy, scaling up the availability of high-quality data for AI through data labs, also synthetic data, and boosting common European data spaces. We are also strengthening the EU's approach to international data flows here to ensure better global access to data while safeguarding EU's sensitive non-personal data. For businesses, this means easier compliance, better access to more data, more opportunities for innovation and greater EU data sovereignty. We are also proposing European business wallets today, because simplification is not just about rules, but also about giving people digital tools to make processes easier. And that is what we are doing with the European business wallets, offering companies a powerful new key to the single market. The wallets will make it simpler, faster and cheaper to the businesses in the European Union. They will provide a unique digital identity valid across the entire Union, so companies and public sector they will be able to identify and exchange data in a secure and user-friendly way cross-border in the European Union. And this means businesses, they will have 26 times less hassle when operating everywhere in the European Union. And we are also proposing today our first digital omnibuses. Here we are focusing on simplifying the rules for the areas that are vital to EU's digital competitiveness, AI, cyber and data. For the AI Act, we need to make adjustments to ensure the optimal application of the rules. This is not just about about backing down from the rules. It's about ensuring support tools like standards and also specifications and guidelines that they are in place before high-risk rules are applying on next year. Secondly, on cybersecurity, we are introducing a single entry point for incident reporting here, so companies no longer have a replicate reporting obligations here. They will only need to report once in one single place, and the information will reach all authorities that need to receive it. And finally, we are also making the data rule book much more leaner, cutting 4 legal actions and acts down to 1. So currently we have had 4 regulations covering data, and now we are combining them to 1 under Data Act. And we are cutting administrative costs here, for example, with targeted exemptions for SMEs and small mid-caps in the Data Act and also in AI Act. And we are also ensuring that access to data and building value from data is a priority here. We are also proposing targeted amendments to the GDPR that reflect how technologies have evolved. In particular, we are adopting measures to ensure that AI development is encouraged in Europe and clearly framed by our rules. With the AI Act amendments, we are also stimulating real uptake of AI with EU-level sandboxes and real-life testing of AI. And simplification should not only be for businesses, but also for our consumers. So we are finally also here addressing cookie banners. I think we can all agree that we have spent too much of our time accepting or rejecting cookies every time we visit on our websites. Consumers need to make informed choices. It's very important, not just click through blindly, so that they can really reach also the content that they want. And with today's measures, consumers will stay in control. It's very important for us. And they can accept or refuse cookies with 1 click and with central controls. This is the first set of measures, but not the last step, because today we are also opening a consultation for full digital fitness check, assessing the cumulative impact of the entire digital rulebook of EU's competitiveness. Together, we are building a simpler, clearer and faster Europe. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Valdis.
Thank you, Henna. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to begin by providing some broader context for today's proposals on the Digital Omnibus. Earlier this week, I presented the European Commission's autumn economic forecast, and it makes clear that the challenging external environment means that Europe's future growth will be fueled in large part by domestic drivers. No one else is going to do it for us. This means taking initiative and to unlock Europe's full growth potential and secure our long-term prosperity, we must redouble our efforts to implement the competitiveness compass. The Draghi report, which underpins the compass, emphasizes the importance of simplification when it comes to digital regulation. And indeed, competitiveness compass has cutting red tape at its core. That's why we have set the target to reduce administrative costs by 25% for all companies and by 35% for SMEs. We have made a strong start in delivering our simplification agenda, and we will continue to present simplification proposals throughout the Commission's current mandate. However, for businesses to feel the end results, the proposals have to be approved by co-legislators. So we will continue to work with the European Parliament and Council to make swift progress on the passage of this legislation. The Draghi report also emphasized the fundamental importance of closing the innovation gap in the emerging technologies that will drive future growth. And this proposal responds to what we have learned from our engagement with the stakeholders. As Executive Vice President Virkkunen already explained, it will update and combine several existing digital laws that have grown complex over time. So it focuses on 3 main areas: making data rules easier to understand and use, simplifying how companies report cybersecurity incidents, and helping the smooth rollout of the new Artificial Intelligence Act. Moreover, we continue to extend benefits enjoyed by SMEs to small mid-cap companies, this time under AI Act. In doing so, we are delivering on our commitment in a single market strategy and actions under our fourth omnibus package, further to enable also small mid-cap companies to benefit from proportionate requirements. Overall, we estimate that Digital Omnibus could result in at least €1 billion in annual savings for our businesses, public administrations and citizens, and it also would generate some €1 billion of one-off savings. That will bring a total annual administrative savings stemming from our omnibus proposals and other simplification initiatives to €9.6 billion, which already represents a significant part of the overall target of €37.5 billion in annual administrative cost savings by the end of this Commission's mandate. But it also indicates that there is a lot of work ahead of us, that we need to continue with at least the same pace of simplification to reach our ambitious burden reduction target. Our approach on simplification will not change the main objectives of the EU's digital rules, such as protecting personal data and ensuring safe AI, but it makes them more practical and consistent. And I would also emphasize that the Digital Omnibus is only the first step in the Commission's simplification efforts in digital domain. It seeks to provide our businesses with immediate relief by targeting low-hanging fruit. In parallel, the digital fitness check launched today will stress test the entire EU acquis to identify further areas for simplification in digital area. To conclude, Europe has not so far reaped the full benefits of the digital revolution, and we cannot afford to pay the price for failing to keep up with demands of the changing world. So today's package of measures sends a clear message. Europe is willing and able to adapt to fully embrace the digital age and the AI technology that will drive productivity for future European growth. And with this, I will now pass to Michael, who will provide further details on the GDPR angles of today's package. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Valdis, and good afternoon, everyone. Can I start by thanking EVP Virkkunen and her team, Commissioner Dombrovskis and his team, and indeed my own team, for the extensive collaboration and work that has been put in over the last number of weeks and months on this package. And so as part of today's Digital Omnibus, I am pleased to present a series of targeted amendments to the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. And let me emphasise here the word targeted. Concrete changes to simplify things in the interest of citizens and also businesses. And I would also underline the word amendments, because these are clarifications of existing concepts and principles and not a reopening of the GDPR. Its core very much remains intact. And this is precisely the balance that this package strikes today. These amendments to GDPR aim to harmonise, clarify and simplify the application of the GDPR while continuing to ensure a high level of data protection across the EU. And also the amendments aim to facilitate operators' compliance with the GDPR and support technological innovation in the EU, including through the development of European AI. They benefit citizens and consumers by ensuring a more uniform application of the GDPR and by bringing clarity to key GDPR concepts. And they form part of the Commission's broader agenda of simplifying EU rules to deliver a more competitive and prosperous European economy, as my colleagues Henna and Valdis have already explained. Today's proposed changes are based on continuous dialogue with stakeholders during this last year, including in the context of the implementation dialogue on the application of the GDPR, which I held in July. This implementation dialogue brought together a wide range of stakeholders, businesses and civil society organisations alike. Member States have also expressed their views on how they see the GDPR going forward in the context of several Council discussions that have taken place. The core message from them was that they consider the GDPR to be an effective and balanced legal framework which has met its objectives. Overall, there was no call for a general reopening of the GDPR. In simple terms, the GDPR works. However, it became clear that targeted measures to further harmonise the application of the GDPR and also to simplify certain obligations are required. And this is to ensure that the GDPR continues to protect fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens and to ensure the free flow of data between our member states. The targeted amendments presented today also reflect recent significant judgments from the Court of Justice of the European Union, as well as opinions from the European Data Protection Board. Regarding the amendments themselves, we will clarify the notion of personal data to reflect the case law of the European Court of Justice. We will specify when data protection impact assessments should be conducted. We will simplify and facilitate data breach notifications from organisations to supervisory authorities. We will simplify the information that needs to be provided by companies to citizens in low-risk cases. This aims to address a long-standing request from smaller operators when managing their customer data, for example, local sports clubs when managing memberships. And we will clarify that personal data can be used in the development of AI, subject to the strong GDPR safeguard that we have in place. We remain committed to clear, simple and innovation-friendly rules that support the growth of European AI. At the same time, these developments must be firmly grounded in EU values and ensure the highest level of protection for fundamental rights. To support this, we are proposing to clarify in the GDPR that organisations may rely on legitimate interest to process personal data for AI-related purposes, provided they fully comply with all existing GDPR safeguards. And as Henna has explained, we are also introducing changes to the current rules on cookie banners to make sure users can express real choices and keep their devices safe. Users will stay in control and will be able to accept or refuse cookies now with one click. Organisations will need to respect users' choices for 6 months. So when browsing the internet and revisiting a website that you have been on in recent months, if you answer that question within the last 6 months, you will not be asked again to give such consent. We also propose to define further low-risk situations for which consent should not require to collect personal data from connected devices. This would be the case, for example, to maintain or restore the security of a device. As is clear, these proposed amendments are very practical and indeed tangible, and they fully respect the high level of protection of personal data that we remain fully committed to. But through clearer rules and simplified obligations, these changes will reduce administrative burdens and deliver cost savings to operators, companies and organisations alike. And it will also result in more efficient and harmonised data protection policies and in focusing resources in areas where data protection is critical. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the three of you. We now have time to take your question. Let's start with Jarno.
Thank you, Tom. Jarno Hartikainen, Helsingin Sanomat. I'm over here. A question to EVP Virkkunen. As you're well aware, the business community has criticised the EU's digital rules for making it harder for companies to innovate in the European Union, in Europe. How confident are you that the Omnibus package that you just presented will relaunch the innovation, the digital innovation in Europe? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are very, very committed in the Commission that we want to make Europe faster and simpler for the businesses. And of course, this is now our first Digital Omnibus package. And especially, we are now focusing on those areas which has been the main priorities for our stakeholders when we have had stakeholders dialogues and when we have had asked feedback via public consultation. So the data rules are, I think, most often mentioned because we have had quite complicated data rule book with 4 different regulations, overlapping parts there also. So now we have clarified this and simplified the things with our amendments. And also this is very important now when we are investing so much to our AI infrastructure, to our AI factories, because we want to really facilitate also the AI training and development by facilitating high-quality data sets around these AI factories. And this we are doing now via our data union strategy. So data has been a very key element of our omnibus, but also here in our data union strategy, really to clarify and simplify it and make it easier to have access to data, in the same time, of course, respecting all the time the privacy of our citizens, which is very important also for us. So I think we have good balance here. And the other important topic here has been the cybersecurity rules, because we have several cybersecurity regulations from different sectors, not only about digital sectors, and there's different places you have to always report the incidents with different timelines, and now we are combining these rules and simplifying them. And I see also that it's important also to make these few adjustments to our AI Act, also to make sure that it's more clear now how we are implementing it also, and we are also boosting innovations via these amendments. And of course, I'm also underlining the importance of business wallets, because many member states, they have already that kind of digital channel for companies to be in interaction with the and report to the public authorities, but we don't have a cross-border element in this, so now we can really create one single market also for our companies to be digitally operating in all over in the European Union. But this is just our first digital omnibus, so today we have launched this digital fitness check, and we will continue to work, and now we will have more deep dive to all our digital rules and also look what is the next package we will propose. But in the same time, it's very important that we are very committed to our main priorities to make sure that we have a fair and safe and democratic environment also in the digital world. But we want to cut red tape and bureaucracy.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Razia.
Thank you for the press conference. Razia Akoc, AFP News Agency. I just wanted to ask, because some experts have said that, simplifying the rules will not be enough. So is this enough to bolster competitiveness, or however we phrase that thing? I also wanted to, that's a question for all of you, a question to Commissioner McGrath. You said we're proposing to clarify in the GDPR that organisations may rely on legitimate interests. Maybe it's because I've got a headache and I'm really tired and this year's been hard, but what does that exactly mean? Like, what is a legitimate interest? Is that in the case of if the data is needed to find a cure for cancer? Just to be able to explain to readers. And we've already had some scathing criticism of the changes, describing what has been published today as the biggest attack on Europeans' digital rights and the largest cut to privacy rights. And I'd like to know whether the three of you or one of you would like to say whether you agree with that assessment and how you defend yourselves against such an assessment. Thank you.
Commissioner, Commissioner Dombrovskis, you would like to start on the overall? Yes.
A few points on this broader competitiveness agenda. Of course, just simplification is not enough. If you look at our competitiveness compass, it lays out the whole range of initiatives which we need to undertake to strengthen competitiveness and productivity, from closing the innovation gap to addressing relatively high energy prices, to equipping people with right skills, to completing our single market, ensuring financing through our savings and investment union. So simplification is one of the pillars in our broader competitiveness agenda, but obviously it's an important pillar, and it's much anticipated by many stakeholders. And for example, if you look at the businesses, 60% of businesses are saying that they are seeing administrative obstacles as an important factor hindering their growth and investment, and 55% of SMEs see those administrative burdens and obstacles as their main challenge in doing business.
Thank you. EVP.
Yeah, when it comes to our competitiveness agenda, I very much agree what Valdis said. So the simplification of our rules is a very important part of that. We want to make Europe faster and simpler and easier for the businesses to have that kind of regulation that encourages innovations and investments. But at the same time, we have to really create one single market. So we see that often our businesses are facing too much obstacles between the member states. And also something that is super important, especially for our startups, is access to finance. Because we see that in many years, more startups are established in the European Union than in the USA, for example, but 60% of the scale-ups are in the USA and only 8% in the European Union. So it clearly also tells that our very promising startups, they often have to move out from Europe to be able to scale up their businesses because of better access to markets and better access to capital. And this is something that now we have to work very seriously, and we are doing that. Because, for example, when I'm looking AI, we have already 8,000 startups in the European Union who are developing AI. And of course now it's super important for us that we are creating opportunities for these 8,000 startups to really scale up their businesses in Europe. So it's about our rules, that we have to have innovation-friendly regulations, but also creating one single market, so removing barriers between our member states and really making sure that we have also access to capital for these companies. So I see that these are really key elements. And when it comes to this package, I'm expecting that there will be feedback from both sides. So I'm expecting that there will be many stakeholders who are saying that this is not enough, that there should be more in this package, and some says maybe that there's too much. So I think that we have a balanced package here. So we have been very carefully analyzing that how we can boost innovations, but at the same time we want to respect and safeguard the privacy of the citizens, because this is very important for us, the data protection side of this. So at the same time, creating more opportunities to have access to data, to train AI, and develop new innovations, which is one main obstacle for our innovators, but at the same time, we want to protect also the privacy of our citizens. And I think we have good balance here. We have been working quite intensively among the commissioners and services during the last weeks, really, to finalize this.
Yeah, thank you for your question on GDPR. Already within the GDPR law, you have consent and legitimate interest as the two gateways to enable the processing of personal data, and so it's already enshrined in law. You have ECJ judgments, and you have also opinions, guidance from the European Data Protection Board. So the purposes are defined, including, for example, public interest and so on. So that's not changing. What is changing here is that the EDPP has already clarified that the use of legitimate interest for AI is already possible in its opinion of December of last year, subject to certain conditions. And so we are proposing to clarify in the GDPR as part of this Digital Omnibus that organisations may process personal data for AI purposes relying on that already established legitimate interest principle, but they must respect all the safeguards already included in the GDPR when doing this. And in addition then we will also add a recital explaining in detail the requirements needed to be able to rely on legitimate interest. And again, this recital is based on case law of the ECJ.
Thank you very much. Luca, you also have a question.
Thank you, Thomas. Luca Bertuzzi from MLEX. I have a question for EVP Virkkunen concerning the delays of the entry into application of the AI Act high-risk requirements. When this discussion started last June, if I remember correctly, at the ministerial meeting, you said that you're very wary about legal certainty. Now, with the proposal you're putting on the table, businesses want to know if they have to comply with the high-risk requirements by August 2026, because they have no certainty the omnibus package will be passed into law by then, and they have no certainty of when the high-risk requirements will start to apply, even if it becomes law, because the Commission can still anticipate the entry into application by 6 months or 1 year depending on the type of high-risk system. So can you tell us companies actually face more legal certainty today, and how so exactly?
Yes, this has been a very important topic, of course, under the discussions during the last months, because really this high-risk part of our AI Act, it should come into the force on next August. And the standardization body was supposed to have the standards ready 1 year before that, so in this August. But they are very much delayed in their work. It has been very challenging, of course, so we have been looking how we could support their actions really to accelerate the work. But now we see that it's not possible to have them in good time. And we see also that it's important, of course, that for our industries who is developing these high-risk AI systems, that they should know also the standards before this part is coming into the force. And that's why we are now proposing here that we will delay this part. We see that it's not possible to have it on next August. But we are working in the same time now. The Commission is working with our guidelines. We are supporting our standardization body with their standards, and also we are looking at some fields of specification. All that we see that we have to now make sure that we have all the support tools for our industry before this is coming into force. And that's why we have this kind of flexible timeline here. So we are proposing that Commission could really trigger this part coming into the force when we have these tools on the table, everything what is needed to support our industry, and this Annex 3, which is the high-risk user cases, it should come into the force 6 months after that. So then our industry would have 6 months after that, when they have all the supporting tools available, that it's coming into the force. But it seems that it's not next August, so it will be later. But we have also here clear cut-off date. So latest in December 27, this part is coming into the force. So possible delay is maximum less than 1.5 years. But I think that it should be shorter than longer, because I would like to really have all the supporting tools for our industry. So we are working with the standards and also with the specifications and with the guidelines. And Annex 1, there we are proposing a longer timeline, 12 months after that, when we have all the supporting tools. And this Annex 1 is about sectoral legislation. So there's a long list of different sectoral legislations we have, and then they have to comply with our AI Act 1 year after that, when we have all these tools. And there is also a clear cut-off date, so it's August 28. So.
Thank you. Peter.
Peter Hack from Politico. I want to go a bit deeper on the topic of legal certainty, because you often say, like, we want to give our companies legal certainty. But then again, for example, on AI, there is an end date, but no specific timeline. On data, you're repealing already some data laws that entered into force just 2 years ago. You're already launching a next digital fitness check. Is that really giving companies legal certainty? And what does that mean for the EU's credibility as a regulator?
I think all the time it has been very challenging. I was, before that, as you know, I was member of European Parliament 10 years, and I was very much working with the digital rules. And I see personally also that this is maybe one of the most challenging sectors of regulation, because the technology is developing so fast, and our legislation process is often so slowly. So, and we should always boost new innovations, but in the same time we should be aware of risks. And that is why, of course, all the time we have to look at the technological and also market developments, and also update our rules. So this is something what we are also doing to our other regulations and rules, and it's something that we want to really create more legal certainty also with our rule book. And that's why it's also important to simplify the processes, but also give more long-term perspective for the companies to where we are going.
Yes, of course, Commissioner.
This legal certainty, because that's obviously a broader question which concerns the entire simplification agenda, but we cannot also stretch this argument, because then we cannot also propose, any forward-looking legislation, but arguing that it undermines legal certainty, because maybe businesses have not counted with additional burdens which may be coming, but then the same applies also when we are working to reduce the burden. Yes, it's right now one could say work in progress, but since we are exiting the period of very intensive legislative activity, there is accumulation of rules, so we have to take stock where we are with those rules, how those rules interact with each other, to eliminate inconsistencies, to streamline them, to eliminate some duplications, at the end of the day arrive at a system which works better for all the stakeholders and for the European economy.
Thank you very much. I see many hands raised. With apologies, but Commissioner Dombrovskis will have to leave at some point for an appointment. So, Commissioner, in case you want to leave us now, is the right moment. And Commissioner McGrath, in case you want to come closer to us, you're very welcome. Thank you very much, Commissioner Dombrovskis. We'll continue until 2:30, with your permission. Let's go to Silvia.
Thank you very much, Silvia Yusuf from El País newspaper. Back to the postponement until eventually December 27 of the high-risk systems. I mean, when the AI Act was approved, there was the EU praised, the Commission praised also this balance, and besides the competitiveness, etc., we were protecting the citizens, and that the value of the protection of the citizens was very important. Now it seems that it's all goes to more competitivity, and there are a lot of critics are saying that the Commission is letting itself trumped by all the pressure from the lobbies, from the US government that has openly criticized the AI Act. How do you respond to that? How do you say that this is not bowing to all these pressures because they don't like the Europe protecting this much?
I think we have very good approach in our AI Act. So it's a risk-based approach. So most of the cases we see that where we are using AI, where we are training AI, developing AI, there's no risks. And there is not very much rules for these applications. But then when there is higher risks, then those systems, they have to meet certain standards and they have to be tested before they are entering to the markets. And now we have challenges really to have the standards ready because this is a very fast developing technology. But we are working on that. And I think it's important to underline also that this package, that the reason why we are doing it, it's especially, of course, that we want to boost innovations and investments in the European Union. So we want to support our startups, our SMEs to scale up their businesses and innovate in the European Union. So we are not so much here looking at the big industries, and we are not especially looking at the very big tech companies because they have all the resources always. As we know, they are the biggest companies in the world, many tech companies, so they have also the resources to comply with different rules. So we are looking especially at startups, SMEs, our own industries, how we can support them to really innovate and scale up their businesses in Europe, how we can cut bureaucracy and reporting obligations from them. So this is our main focus here. But I think when we are looking at our digital rules, I think in all our rules we have very risk-based approach, that the bigger players or those who are posing bigger risks, they have more obligations. And also here we have more exemptions for the startups, for small businesses, because they are not posing that kind of risk than very big companies with big businesses.
Yeah, if I can just add a quick point, I think it's important to highlight that most of the feedback that we have received and that we have based this package on is from within the European Union. It's from all of the engagement that we have had on an ongoing basis with businesses, with stakeholders. They have given us the feedback of the need for change. And of course we have the Draghi report that sets out the diagnosis and also provides us with a template and a roadmap for introducing the necessary reforms. And on the question of certainty for business, not all certainty is good. What we have laid out in the first year of the Commission's mandate is a whole series of reforms and changes that will take time to be agreed, but at least the direction of travel is clear. And the business community and wider stakeholders know that we are very serious about this agenda. And last night we had the first trilogue on Omnibus 1, and it's an indication of the progress that we now need to make across the whole agenda that EVP Virkkunen and Commissioner Dombrovskis have set out today.
Thank you very much. Gabriele.
Thank you very much. Gabriele Rosano, Il Messaggero, Italy. Just to clarify, Commissioner, you said that, and just help me understand, I mean, there is a lot of information to process, but you said that your targeted amendments on GDPR will support growth of European AI. Is it fair to say that it supports growth of AI businesses? Or is there any, I mean, are you hinting at any preferential treatment? In that case, I would be interested in knowing more about that. And I had a question for Commissioner Dombrovskis, but I will address it to EVP in your capacity as EVP, because we saw that 3 out of 4 parties of the so-called pro-European platforms have already criticized the digital simplification omnibus, and that comes just days after the first simplification efforts that the Commission proposed passed its parliamentary tests, thanks to right and far-right votes to EPP amendments. So my question is if you are confident that the pro-EU centrist majority will hold and will survive your several simplification efforts. Thank you. EVP.
Especially why we are focusing so much to competitiveness and making Europe faster and simpler for the businesses is that we are falling very much behind now when it comes to innovations and technologies. And Draghi report very clearly underlined the importance now to move fast. More than 1 year ago, Draghi already stated that it's now or never moment for Europe, and I see that now it's even more now or never moment for Europe than it was maybe 1.5 years ago when he published his report. And that's why we are also now accelerating really the process, how we can make Europe easier and simpler for the businesses and also for AI innovations and development. Especially, of course, we are looking here our European businesses because this is a special area to where we want to focus. We see that we are very strong when it comes to research and science on AI, also very strong when it comes to startups, but now we have to make sure also that we are able to do also business with our innovations in the European Union, and this is our main focus. And yes, it's true that now we are now proposing regulations as a Commission, but the co-legislators are, of course, the ones who are making the decision. And, of course, we hope that European Parliament and Council, that they will adopt these amendments in very swift process, because we see that it's a really matter of urgency when we speak about simplification and the very hard competition we are facing on technological competition.
What I would say on AI and GDPR is that companies of all sizes and from all origins operating within Europe, so within the ambit of EU law, will benefit from this change. And many small mid-caps are now using AI, and of course larger businesses. We need more companies to deploy AI and to harness the extraordinary potential that we know it possesses. And what we are laying out here is a framework for that to be done within certain guardrails and within EU guardrails that is fully cognizant and respectful of our fundamental rights. And so the GDPR safeguards remain in place, and we are essentially clarifying, based on an opinion of the European Data Protection Board, that the use of AI through legitimate interest is something that we can provide for in law. That provides the clarity and the certainty that businesses of all sizes operating within the European Union can now develop AI using that solid legal basis.
Thank you. Final question, Leo, and then we close.
Thank you very much. Leo Lichterwood for Context. I have a question for Commissioner McGrath on the GDPR. I think less than 2 months ago in your simplification, implementation and enforcement reports, you said that the Commission would look into targeted amendments to the GDPR in the next 12 months. So that was less than 2 months ago, and we already have targeted amendments. So my question is the Commission just really good at its job and did the 12 months job in 2 months? Or did you find the inspiration elsewhere? I can't help but notice similarities between the amendments that are proposed today and some recommendations by the German government a few weeks ago. And side question, if then the job is not done, will the reflections on targeted amendments continue throughout the years, and should we expect more amendments to the GDPR in 2026, 2027, etc.? Thank you.
Well, I would say that we have consulted widely. We had a very good round table here at the Implementation Dialogue back in July, where all of the main stakeholders were represented. I've also engaged in discussions at Council level, so with the ministers from the Member States in the European Union, and the digital package was in process and being developed, and we felt that this was the ideal vehicle to propose these changes, because you have the direct interlinkages, for example, with the ePrivacy directive. So the fact that the legal basis now for the storage and for accessing personal data is being moved from ePrivacy into GDPR, for example, that opens up then the GDPR enforcement toolbox in relation to the whole cookie area. So in the interest of coordination and ensuring that these different policies can be knitted together in a coherent and cohesive fashion, I believe that this was the correct legislative vehicle to bring forward the changes in relation to GDPR. That said, I am conscious that we already made a change, a proposal for a change in relation to record keeping under Omnibus 4, dealing with small mid-caps. It's only in recent times as well that we have secured the final agreement on the GDPR procedural rules regulation, which will be particularly important in dealing with complex cross-border cases and making sure that our data protection authorities can work together in a good way. And now we're making these proposed changes in the context of the digital package. And we do need to have a period of certainty and stability. These changes will take some time to reach agreement by the co-legislators, and my focus now will be on bedding down these changes, engaging in the trilogues, explaining the Commission's proposals, and then ensuring that we have the smooth implementation of what we have already agreed.